In the military, the people who fly can earn up to $1,000 a month in extra pay on top of their salary, and almost nobody outside aviation understands how it actually works. It is one of the biggest recurring pays in the force, and one of the most misunderstood, even by the people earning it. And there is a catch built right into it, one that means this pay is never fully yours to keep, no matter how senior you get.
Chris, the shape of it is this. It is called flight pay, and it exists to reward the demanding perishable skill of flying. The military pays extra to attract people into cockpits and to keep them there once they are trained. Training an aviator costs a fortune and takes years, so keeping them flying is worth a lot to the service.
Today we break down who gets it, the two very different tracks for officers and enlisted, the real dollar figures, and the flying requirement that decides whether you keep it. By the end, you will know exactly what track you are on, what it pays, and the one thing that can quietly switch it off.
And it is not just for pilots in the front seat. Enlisted aircrew, the load masters, the sensor operators, the flight engineers get their own version of flight pay too. If your job puts you in the air, there is likely money attached to it.
And here's the thing that makes it different from most pay. It is tied to actually flying. This is not a bonus you bank once and forget. It rewards you month after month for staying on flying status.
Which is exactly why it can go away. If you rotate to a desk, stop flying, or miss the requirements, this pay can quietly stop, even for a seasoned aviator. It follows the flying, not the person. That is the single most misunderstood thing about it, and the reason we are spending a whole video on it.
So here is the question I keep coming back to. Could $1,000 a month of your pay depend entirely on whether you keep meeting a flying requirement most people have never heard of? Real money for those who fly, and a catch that follows them the whole career. There are free guides at military.professorerica.com. Now let us bring in some help and split it into its two tracks. Let me pause for just a second, because this genuinely helps. If you are getting value here, hit that like button, then subscribe and ring the bell. It costs you nothing, and it is the single biggest thing that keeps these videos coming. Professor Ferreira is joining us at the desk to help sort out who gets what, because officers and enlisted are on two completely different flight pay systems.
Chris, walk them through the two tracks, because mixing these up is where people go wrong. Track 1 is for officers. It is called Aviation Career Incentive Pay, ACIP, and it goes to officers who hold an aeronautical rating and stay in aviation as a career. This is the pilot and the flight officer track. If you have wings and a cockpit job, this is almost certainly the pay you are looking at.
And ACIP is the one with the big ceiling. It scales with your years of aviation service, starting around $125 a month early on, and climbing all the way to $1,000 a month at the peak. So a young pilot and a seasoned one doing the same mission can draw very different flight pay purely on years in.
Track 2 is the enlisted side.
Right, and this is the part people forget. The enlisted aircrew have their own pay, career enlisted flyer incentive pay. It runs from about $150 to $400 a month, and in the branches that do not use it, those flyers get hazardous duty flight pay instead. Different system, same idea, pay the people in the air. Both tracks share the same core logic. The service is buying flying hours and the proficiency that comes with them, and it does not much care whether those hours come from an officer or an enlisted flyer.
So two tracks, one for officers and one for enlisted aircrew, both rewarding time in the air. Next, let us put real dollars on it, because the headline number, that $1,000 a month, only tells part of the story. So what does this actually pay in real dollars? The number is not flat. It is built to climb as you build flying experience. The idea is simple. The longer you have been flying, the more valuable and harder to replace you are, so the pay rises to keep you in the seat.
Chris, Run them up the ladder, from a brand new aviator to the peak.
Happy to, a brand new aviator starts near $125 a month. As your years of aviation service stack up, it climbs and it hits its peak of about $1,000 a month somewhere around 10 to 22 years in. That is the sweet spot of a flying career. It is deliberately shaped to keep experienced aviators in the cockpit right when the service has invested the most in them.
And $1,000 a month adds up.
It really does. $1,000 a month at the peak is about $12,000 a year, and that is entirely on top of your base pay and everything else. Over the heart of a flying career, that is real serious money for the skill you are maintaining. Stretched across the years, it is at the peak. It can easily add up to the price of a car or a solid down payment on a house.
But you mentioned it does not just climb forever.
Right, and this is the honest ceiling. Once you get into the general officer ranks, the rules flip and the pay is actually capped far lower, down around $200 a month. So the peak is for the working aviators in the cockpit, not the folks who have moved up to run things from a desk. It is a quiet reminder that this pay was always about the flying, not the rank on your collar.
So the money rewards the years you spend actively flying, right in the middle of the career. If flight pay peaks in the middle of a career and then caps, what are you really being paid for? Professor Ferreira, let me hand you the real catch. What decides whether an aviator actually keeps this pay year after year?
One word: gates. Flight pay is not a permanent entitlement. It is earned by actually flying, and the military checks that with milestones called gates.
Chris, lay the gates out, because this is the part that surprises people.
So it works like this. To keep your continuous flight pay, you have to perform operational flying for at least 8 of your first 12 years of aviation service, and then 12 of your first 18 years. Hit those gates, and the pay keeps flowing. Think of them as flying time checkpoints spread across your early career, not a one-time test you pass and forget.
And if you miss them?
If you miss a gate or you spend too long away from flying on a staff tour, your continuous pay can drop or stop. The system is deliberately built that way. It is paying you to stay a current, proficient aviator, not to have once been one. The moment you stop being current, the logic of the pay says it should stop too, and it does. A single missed gate can echo through years of pay, which is why aviators guard their flying time so fiercely.
And that is the honest heart of it. This is genuine money, but it is conditional money. If you are choosing aviation, plan your career knowing the pay rewards time in the air, so a long stretch behind a desk has a real cost attached to it. Go in with your eyes open.
Professor Ferreira, thank you. That framing, that it is conditional money tied to the gates, is exactly what keeps an aviator from being blindsided.
Glad to help.
So if you fly, know your gates and protect your flying time. If this helped you understand how flight pay really works, like the video and subscribe. It genuinely helps us keep making these. Here is what I want you sitting with after this. How many aviators drift into a desk tour without realizing what it quietly costs them in flight pay? Up to $1,000 a month for those who fly, but only if you keep the gates. Protect your flying time. I am Isabella, and we will see you in the next one. Because the day the flying stops, the clock on this pay starts ticking too, no matter how many wings you have earned.